All right, let's jump in. I mean, the roller coaster is not the right term. I don't know what the right term is. The Trump-Putin, U.S., Russia, Ukraine stuff that's going on. It's just unbelievable. It's how anybody can trust Trump or has any positive view of Trump, given his behavior towards Zelensky and towards Putin, is just beyond comprehension. I mean, here he is, leading up to last week. Trump was all gung ho. We're gonna give Zelensky new missiles. We're gonna make them strong. They can attack any way they want. He was super friendly to Zelensky in a couple of meetings that they had, and he was super aggressive in NATO and very pro-Europe, and came out, swinging against Putin and everything. This is after he'd met Putin in Alaska, convinced there was going to be a peace deal, and then Putin basically ignored him, and basically during the meeting, supposedly in Alaska, the meeting was cut short because Putin wouldn't compromise. He would not negotiate around peace that Trump was pushing. So Trump gave it a couple of weeks to kind of see, and then walked away from Putin and kind of went seemingly all in on Zelensky and was nice to him, and was ready to arm him to the teeth, and which is what should be done and what needs to be done. And it's the only way to end this war. The only way to end this war is one party wins and one party loses. That's the way wars end. And I think I want Zelensky to win. I want the Ukrainians to win. Russia is the aggressor. Russia is the evil empire here. And the good guys should win. And that means Ukrainians. And we should support them winning. And that way the war will end. Wars end when one party wins and the other loses. So Trump seemed to be moving in that direction. Everybody's whoa, all excited. And then Trump was going to meet with Zelensky. At the meeting, supposedly Trump was going to sign off on Tomahawk missiles and all kinds of other weapon systems and fully support Zelensky and Ukraine. And then Putin called him the night before, and they had a long conversation. And Putin somehow convinced Trump, again, that no, this war was caused by Ukraine. Russia's not the bad guys, Ukraine the bad guys. And Putin wants peace. It's Zelensky that's stopping the peace, and he's willing to compromise. And there's got to be a deal, and we should go for peace, and don't give them Tomahawk missiles. And Trump came out of that meeting. It's as if Putin has this ability to completely brainwash him, or squeeze him in some way. I don't know what Putin has on Trump, but he has his buttons. He knows exactly which buttons to press. So Trump goes into the meeting over the weekend with Zelensky on Friday, actually, and blasts Zelensky and publicly says, Zelensky started the war, and if you start the war, don't come asking me for missiles. If you start a war, you should be positioned to win it. You shouldn't. I mean, Zelensky didn't start the war. Ukraine didn't start the war. Russia started the war. This is not hard. This is like a 4-year-old would get this. I've often said, Trump has the economic understanding of a 5-year-old. He has the understanding of foreign policy of a 5-year-old. Worse, actually. A 5-year-old would get it. And I'm sorry. I know some of you still think Trump is good, better than whatever, and this and that. And Yaron, stop being such a leftist. Stop being worse than MSNBC. Yeah, I'm more consistent with them and MSNBC. I've always thought Trump was a disaster, and I continue to think Trump is a disaster. And he continues to prove me right and you guys wrong. It's not even pragmatism. This is complete and utter whim worshiping. Okay, so over the weekend, he lambasted Zelensky. By all accounts, he treated him horribly in the meeting behind closed doors, threw maps around, didn't want to look at maps, too many maps, don't care about maps, blames Zelensky for the war, blames Zelensky later in a press conference for the war. It completely went after and announced that he is going to meet Putin in Budapest, and they're going to cut a deal. They're going to cut a deal. There's going to be peace. It's just a matter, next week. They were going to meet next week in Budapest. So in preparation for the big Budapest meeting where peace is going to be announced, Marco Rubio, had a call this morning, or yesterday morning, with the foreign Russian minister, Sergei Lavrov, in order to, kind of prepare the grounds. This is what happens when, the leaders meet, the underlings meet beforehand to kind of prepare everything and get everything aligned so when the meeting happens, it all goes well. Well, in this meeting, and I've told you, Marco Rubio is the only one in this administration that I know of that has the right position on Russia-Ukraine. So Marco Rubio goes to meet with Lavrov over the phone, I guess, and he discovers that Lavrov is like, yeah, nothing's changed. We want full control over the Donbass, and we're really, the Donbass means the eastern Ukraine, and we're not going to give in an inch. We want control over those areas, and we haven't changed our position, and nothing has changed. And, Lavrov told reporters that, quote, I believe American officials have concluded that Russia's position has remained largely unchanged over the time and remains within the bounds of its initial maximalist demands. We've always known that. Russia's not compromising. What did Putin tell Trump on Thursday that led him to think that this was not true? I'm sure nothing. What did Putin tell him in Alaska that would suggest that Russia's position has changed? I'm pretty sure nothing. I mean, the reality here, this is not my interpretation. This is reality. Putin completely manipulates Trump. Completely, utterly. So Lavrov basically told Rubio that Russia has not changed its mind. It wants a comprehensive peace deal in which it gets everything that it wants and gives up nothing. It does not, and this goes back to Alaska, it does not want, it does not accept Western security guarantees for Ukraine. It does not accept any kind of peacekeeping troop in Ukraine other than Chinese or Russians. So basically, yesterday, Marco Rubio went to Trump and I guess the White House officials and said, look, we can have a meeting, but Russia's not changed its mind on anything. Anything. And this morning, it was announced that the meeting is off, that Trump will not be meeting Putin in Budapest. And basically because what would be the point? What would be the point? Nothing has changed. But Putin achieved one goal, and that is Zelensky didn't get his tomahawks. And Trump again lashed out at Zelensky. So, anyway, the bottom line is Zelensky is not getting what he wants. Trump is not getting a meeting with Putin. We know, Lavrov is a mouthpiece for Putin, always has been, continues to be. And the reality is the meeting between Putin and Trump has been canceled. And again, it's so we're back at the status quo. We're back at where we were before this meeting, before the whole Tomahawk discussions were going on, before the United States was going to ramp up support for Ukraine. All of that is gone, and yet there's no advancement on the peace plan and that's dead. And Trump is now soured on Putin and soured on Zelensky. And what the hell is he doing? The guy is a complete and utter emotionalistic, unprincipled, what do you call it? He just goes by whatever he feels like. And there are people out there, for whatever reason, it's hard to tell exactly why, but there are people out there who are really, really good at manipulating him. Really, really good at manipulating him. And I know people like this, so I guess it doesn't really surprise me. All right, that's where we are in terms of the Russian story. Again, as people are leaking information from the meeting between Zelensky and Trump, it sounds like it went pretty brutal. Trump, by the way, went on and on supposedly about the fact that he didn't get the Nobel Prize and how unfair that was. The guy functions based on grievances and emotions and who he likes and who he hates. And he clearly admires and maybe even loves. I mean, he has this weird admiration for Vladimir Putin. And that allows Putin to manipulate him and get his way, at least up to a point.